Welcome to the first ever Impact Recap. I am the Civil Sponsor. He's different, James Hebert, and we're here to give you a rundown of Impact Wrestling on AXS TV. So, James, Impact, they had their official debut on AXS TV because last week was more of a preview of the things that we
Yeah.
saw tonight and more. What were your thoughts on their debut, just overall, as far as presentation and the show flow?
The show flow, except for like one or two things, was great. There was more good on this show than there was bad, that's for sure. So that's definitely a success in my book.
Yeah, and they
Um,
still have their Twitch outlet too, and that's what I actually use
that
to watch.
well, I had a bad experience with Twitch.
What happened?
So that's one thing they need to correct because if they are going to start streaming on Twitch, you cannot have Melissa Santos sit at her home streaming this damn show on OBS and expect it to work. You have an entire network of people on you. You have an entire network. You own AXS TV. You're telling me you couldn't get a group of television executives to help you stream this with uninterrupted video feed on Twitch? Are you out of your mind?
Uh,
Give me a break.
I mean, you have to kind of be brain dead to think that you literally are watching live and then you're listening to a person react to it live. I mean, come on. We both know that these are tapings. One, they're in Canada, so obviously they're going to be delayed. Two, Anthem Entertainment, which owns Impact Wrestling, owns most of AXS TV. That's the reason they're on the channel. Not to mention you have the relationships Impact Wrestling has with Women of Wrestling, currently led by their champion, Tessa Blanchard. Ironic as that. But I
Yeah,
have to
right.
say overall, as far as the Twitch playback, because obviously when the Melissa Santos things happened, I muted. I thought it worked actually really well for me, and I like Twitch ads way better than commercial ads because it's mostly about video games and candy.
I have no problem with the ads. It's just like, well, the whole idea that Melissa Santos is streaming live from OBS, I was having so much lag on my end. It was
Hmm.
terrible. Absolutely terrible. On both my phone and my computer, by the way.
Were
And
they
every
both?
and some asshole on the Twitch stream was like, "Get better internet, scrub." And I'm like, I had full bars. What are you on about?
5 bars maybe. You know how people are. But everyone also has different internet signals too, and then you're bouncing different bandwidths. And some people are on cellular, and some people are on Wi-Fi, some people are on hotspot. Who knows what this one person's doing? He
Well,
might
I
be on
was on
fiber
full
phone.
Wi-Fi, so
My house is a Wi-Fi home, dude. Period. I have the
yeah.
best Wi-Fi in Ohio, right here in Toledo, Ohio. Anyway, yeah. All right. Mission McFoley. All right, let's go
There you
ahead and
go.
get into the show. Now we had some technical humor. Let's talk about the show. So, Impact Wrestling, the new font, it's all red now. Looks like they're using the old school slice type set they've been using for pay per views. I don't know if they'll use that going forward or just go back to like the LED screen. But I thought that the opening was pretty good. Of course, we had our lead commentary, the commentary of Impact Wrestling, Josh Matthews and Don Callis. As far as those two go, I feel like they have pretty good chemistry, but Josh Matthews can feel a little plain at times. What's your thoughts over on Impact Wrestling's commentary? We're still talking about the presentation here, people. We're going to get into the show right after this because they introduced us, saying, we're home now, we're on AXS TV.
Right.
And they are in the ring introducing the card and introducing us to Impact Wrestling. So,
So I may have a controversial thought with this because I know a lot of people like this guy
hmm.
on commentary. I have no idea why. I actually thought Josh Matthews carried the entire show and Don Callis barely did fuck all until the main event.
Really?
I did not like him commentary, and there was that one specific match where it really bothered me. Um, like where he was essentially, I don't know what he was doing, but he was doing something other than a job, which is supposed to be commentating the show.
To be fair, a lot of commentators in today's business kind of do that. Just go on their own deep end. Corey Grace, especially when
No,
they.
but yeah, but my point is that you at least hear them talking about the subject at hand. This
Yeah,
dude was saying nothing for about a good 3 minutes. and Josh Matthews was trying to get something out of him. And I don't know what the hell Don Callis was doing, but he did this at least 3 or 4 times during the broadcast. What are you doing?
You know, Impact Wrestling is one of those shows where I don't normally pay attention to commentary. I pay more attention to what's going on in the ring because I feel like that's where you're more supposed to focus. But I do get those subtleties sometimes where he and Don Callis are just talking nonsense. So, but as far as this commentary team goes, they really need to boost it. I remember back in the old school days of Impact, we had like Mike Tenay and Taz and what was his name? He's like, oh my God! What was his
Don
name?
Callis. I mean, not Don Callis.
Not Don Callis.
Don West.
Don West, thank you. They need to bring back Don West. Okay, now Don West and Josh Matthews, I think they would have better chemistry, or at least Don West could push something maybe out of Don Callis. Don and Don, 2 Dons. That does sound weird.
I would no. I would get. The problem is, I'd actually prefer. I'd actually prefer if they want to be unique and different, just have Josh Matthews commentate the fucking show by himself.
By himself? What do you think is involved wrestling? You think he could pull that off?
He was pulling it off for the 3 minutes that Don Callis didn't say anything.
True, but that's 3 minutes.
And again, Don Callis, anytime he does talk, it's like,
oh my God,
Josh. I remember there was a couple times too where Josh Matthews was bringing up good points, and then either Don Callis was making a meme of it, or he wasn't taking the point seriously, or he's making some stupid sex joke. I'm like,
you almost make him sound like a Jerry the King Lawler of today.
Huh?
You almost make him sound like a Jerry the King Lawler wannabe of today.
That's what he is. That's what I hear. And it's aggravating. I don't want to hear that. Like, call the damn action. Call moves. Why is Josh Matthews carrying this whole broadcast? If you're going to have him carry the whole broadcast, don't be on the commentary booth and have him call the whole show by himself.
I wonder what happened to Pope, for example, because Pope and him even did it for a while back when they had the 6-sided ring, and that was
I'd prefer D'Angelo De Niro back on commentary at this point.
He must have left.
And people hated him.
Well, folks, what do you think? This is our first opening topic. What do you think of Impact's presentation? Do you like the new set outlook, basically?
The set's good.
As far as the theme and the colors, do you appreciate commentary? What would you change about commentary? Let us know in the comments down below. But with that, I think we ran enough as far as presentation. Let's talk about the actual product itself, because, again, it is a wrestling show. We did have some wrestling. We kicked off strong, I thought. Our opening match was one half of the Impact Tag Team Champions, the North, as they call themselves, the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander. Hello, Cindy, to you and your Canadian vibes. Versus, who is not signed yet to Impact Wrestling, but something he should be, representing Pro Wrestling Noah, one of the many partners that Impact Wrestling works with, Marufuji. Marufuji coming off, in my opinion, probably my match of the night from Bound for Glory against Michael Elgin. That was freaking impressive.
Yeah, I love that match. That was a fucking great match.
And this, I thought, was a really good follow-up. So, James, give me through your thoughts on this match, the spots you took away, and anything you have on this, and where you think they should go from here with either man.
I don't remember everything spot for spot, but I know the few key spots. Marufuji's kicks are just absolutely lethal.
He's a strike.
As far as Josh Alexander, I thought this was a good way to showcase his singles ability as well, just being kind of like the mat technician, which was the perfect contrast to Marufuji's high-flying and striking ability. So I thought this was a really good contrast to styles. I thought the match was great. I thought it got both characters over, and I hope to see more of the North and more Marufuji on Impact.
It looked like we were about to get a mutual bout on respect, but I feel like that the subtleties here between the North and Marufuji are not over. I wonder if Marufuji is going to bring in a partner, for example, because as we saw after the match, he went for the handshake, but of course, all ego Ethan Page is like, no, you're not doing that. And then it looked like we're going to do it, and then Josh's like, psych. But yeah, you're right. The match was a series of kicks and lariats, and in the end, Alexander, looking at some of my notes here, gets Marufuji up in torture rack, spins him around, pounds him down to the mat to a very close near fall. I like when Josh Matthews gets into a match and he thinks that the fall is about to happen. He almost believes. He's like, you gotta know! So
yeah, he's the best at that.
There are some subtleties to Josh Matthews. think SmackDown really wasted him. Oh, sorry, other company. Anyway, following this near fall though, Marufuji, he connects with sliced bread number 2, and he picks up the win, which kind of surprises me because the previous night,
I mean, it doesn't surprise me only because the whole story is they were expecting a tag team match, and then they had to do a singles because Marufuji didn't have a partner. So that makes sense.
oh,
As
oh,
a
you're
unit,
right.
they're better off than in singles right now, which
Because
makes
you're
sense.
right, they did propose an open challenge to North after successfully retaining the tag team championships, but nobody stepped up, allegedly. I don't know what
There you go.
Scott D'Amore has as far as plans for Impact Wrestling goes, him being the executive producer. He does an all right job, but I hope we do get some sort of tag match because, hey, Marufuji pinned one half of the tag champs. Get a partner, get a title match. I say you earned it, unless they make him go one-on-one with Ethan Page, which wouldn't be a bad idea as a follow-up.
Yeah, true. I say this is probably going to build up to Marufuji finding some sort of partner, and then it's going to be them fighting the North at some point.
All right.
So
Following this, we go backstage where we find OBE entering the building, or just sitting backstage, apparently. And we all see Sami Callihan, who, of course, is in the main event tonight. Here's a little bit of recap for you, folks, from This Is Impact, if you actually didn't watch it. They had a nice interview set. I wonder if they'll use that going forward. And they were interviewing Brian Cage for his successful title defense against Sami Callihan, channeling Wolverine, literally clawing his head. I'm pretty sure those claws were not pure metal, but still, I like the visual. Because he's the machine, that's the machine. And he survived all this crazy madness. If you go watch Bound for Glory, folks, there's a few matches you should watch. The X Division title ladder match, Sami Callihan versus Brian Cage, and Marufuji versus Michael Elgin. Those are the top 3 I recommend. Probably
very
don't
true.
those 3. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be a little biased. Not everything in wrestling I'm like, this is great. You got to separate the meh from the great. From would I watch this again? Probably not. I mean, anyway, go watch Bound for Glory. Maybe one day we'll do a Bound for Glory review. I'm sure these guys did on the Wrestling Rundown, so go check that out. Anyway,
Yeah,
we basically Sami Callihan, he threatened literally Brian Cage's wife and newborn little girl.
I was like, what a heel! What a heel!
Yes, because OBE was apparently, they found his address and they were standing outside his house waiting for Sami Callihan's command to strike. Unless
Yep.
Brian gave him a rematch, which he did by force, which of course led to our main event tonight. But, because of the implications of this match being not only in a steel cage but a rematch from Bound for Glory, the rest of OVE was literally banned from the building. It literally became a one-on-one bout tonight in the main event. And I appreciate that. So we had no shenanigans to speculate on because literally, OVE, they were kicked out of the building.
There you go.
Following this, though, we go to the Rascals in their treehouse, I believe it's called. Just hanging out, man. And then someone joins them, and it's Bah! Fallah Bah, who, of course, has kind of been lost, per se, without his partner, the ferret guy. I forget his name. It's been a while.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, so he joins the Rascals in the treehouse, and he speaks, of course, goes Bah, 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 and then they give him a hit of that good stuff, whatever they got. And what the fuck, James? When did Fallah Bah learn to speak like a normal person that could pontificate?
Well, I mean,
I see you're speechless too. But anyway,
I was so confused by this segment. I thought I was watching another ad from NWA Power. Like, this was so confusing. I didn't even know it was the Rascals at first until I realized, like, who they were. And then Fallah Bah just came in, and I was just confused. It was funny, but it was confusing.
well, the bottom line, the best thing we could say out of this is that Bah wants Michael Elgin again, one-on-one. That's what this comes down to because last time he and Elgin were in the ring, Elgin destroyed him. And Bah, of course, is on his own without, the ferret guy and Scarlett Boudreaux, who's now gone. Apologies if I screwed up that name. Shout out to my boy Trey Miguel, also representing Toledo, member of the Rascals. So who knows? Maybe there'll be like some sort of strange alliance between the Rascals and Fallah Bah. Only time will tell. Though the
We'll
Rascals have
see.
no heat, I believe, against Michael Elgin at this point. If anyone had heat at this point, I imagine it's TJP. Maybe that's the duo they're trying to set up, TJP and Marufuji.
Ah, true. I didn't even think about that. I forgot he's a babyface again since he left WWE.
Jeez, dude. You're all over the place. All right. Following this, we had knockouts action. That's the women's division, folks. If you've never heard of Impact or forgot what TNA was, etc., etc. Of course, after Immortal, why would you try and remember? Anyway, their unique roster 3-on-3 tag match. We had La Royale Loca, the Knockouts champion, successfully retained her title at Bound for Glory against Neil Dashwood, who, as of right now, I believe is not yet signed with Impact, but did recently have an interview discussing her decision and what she's doing and so forth, why she left the other company with Chris Van Vliet. Go watch that. And she was not involved in this match at all, actually, but it was a 6 women's knockouts tag bout. The champion, Ty Valkyrie, and her partners, Kiera Hogan and Madison Rayne, who claims herself to be the locker room reader, versus my personal favorite of the knockouts division, and definitely the most creative, Courtney Rush, a.k.a. Rosemary, and the powerhouse Jordan Grace, and a newcomer, I believe now. I don't know much about her, Alexis Nicole. So I thought this was a nice mutual 6-woman bout. Each of the women showcased themselves. Kiera Hogan, though, mad props to her. I guess she legitimately got injured, but she still kept going for the match. She got out intact.
Wait, wasn't it Rosemary? I thought Rosemary was in the match. Oh, yeah, you already mentioned her.
Yeah, you're all right, James. Pace for them, folks. It's been a long day, long week.
Yeah.
Newsworthy week, too.
Yes.
Not necessarily positive, but that's a whole different story. Stay tuned. He might start his own series called Ranting Wrestling. Anyway, teaser. Hey, gotta promote you somehow. Anyway, following this, though, just sum it up, quick 6-woman bout. I'm wondering what direction they go with the Knockouts division because it seems like the Knockouts division always has more than one story. It's not just about the title. There's some other creative flow. To this day, still one of my favorite stories was The Bunny and the Demon and how that all ended. Hit me hard. Anyway, I like Allie. Anyway, but I've always liked the Demon vs. Slayer thing, all right? Again, I'm a fan of independent wrestling. You don't know what that is? Support independent wrestling. Wake up from under a rock.
Yes.
Anyway, this was a nice 6-woman bout, and Jordan Grace picks up the victory over the champion. So, in my opinion, I say we're setting up our next championship match. And the next, I guess you could say not pay-per-view, but big show coming up for Impact Wrestling is Turning Point. And we'll get more into that a little later as the weeks go by. Maybe later in this show, because we did get one match set up for it. But, James, any further thoughts you have on the Knockouts as a whole and this Knockouts match?
Knockouts definitely have stories going on. This was pretty paint-by-the-numbers stuff when it comes to the actual match. But the meat and potatoes was the story of Jordan Grace able to get the pin on Tyra Valkyrie, which I really like that. That's going to be a match going forward. Tyra Valkyrie has actually improved tremendously as a wrestler. So I'm very much looking forward to this match, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, fair enough. And by the way, Alexa Nicole, kudos taking that mad bump off the top rope when Kiera Hogan literally yanks her off with a high-risk Hurricanrana, which apparently, according to what I'm reading, it caused Kiera to tweak her shoulder. So she immediately got out of the match, but she still worked through it. Mad respect to her. I hope she's okay. And of course, nobody wants to get in the ring with Rosemary because Rosemary is the demon assassin. Enough said. Yeah. Anyway, I thought this was a good match. I'm interested to see where they fall from this because Jordan Grace did have a Knockouts Championship match in the past against Tyra Valkyrie. I believe it was at, if I remember right, Rebellion, and lost, thanks to Jody Bravo. And I'm not talking about the guy from Cartoon Network, although he probably is still more popular than the guy Tyra's with, but I digress. Yeah, and a little stuffed dog, too. Anyway, good match. I look forward to see what's next. Right now, Alexa Nicole, you need to show me more, and I wonder what they're going to do with Alicia Edwards after this whole. Well, I'll get more into that later. Anyway, on this,
I gotta say, as per usual, Madison Rayne is the most annoying thing I've ever seen in my life. Holy shit! Can she just retire already?
You realize that she's married to a certain person there, right?
Who?
Just saying. She's married to Josh Matthews. That's Josh Matthews' wife.
Well, Josh Matthews has more personality than Reed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She is so annoying. Literally anything you put her in, nothing good comes of it. Beautiful People was already dying a death in TNA, and then they put her in it, and it was just like unrecoverable. So,
Fair
you
enough.
know,
I mean, there's 2/3 of beautiful people allegedly in Ring of Honor, though I haven't seen Velvet Sky in forever. I don't know if she's injured or what. Anyway, following this, though, we recap events at Bound for Glory again in the Triple Threat Tag Team title match where RBD and Brano, along with Rich Swann and Willie Mack, took on the North. But RBD pulling off something I did not expect from this guy. I don't think he's ever been this. He went heel. He turned on his partner.
he hadn't been this kind of character since the ECW days, so he's going back to his roots, basically.
Yeah, and apparently,
and with a little bit of an added dimension in Miss Katie Forbes,
who had
oh
apparently
my,
a great debut back in Vegas and signed with Impact Wrestling. But basically, he claims that many professional wrestlers under the other companies, such as but not limited to WWE and AEW, name-dropping people like Kenny Omega, biggest one I heard, said,
Daniel
without me,
Bryan, the Young Bucks.
yeah, without me,
Without him, there is none of them.
No, he's still one of a kind. Going back to his
and he was done carrying Rhino and the ECW brand on his back, and he wants to be his own man. That was the reason he turned.
Yeah, and great. I mean, when you think about how many ECW originals work in Impact Wrestling, it seems, from Sabu to Tommy Dreamer to Rhino, it's kind of ironic per se, but all right.
all I'm gonna say is, I heard what he said, but I had to listen to it like 5 times because I was too busy paying attention to Katie Forbes.
James,
just saying.
Just saying. All right. You're welcome. You're entitled to that. I think browsers would agree with you because browsers have been really peering into the wrestling industry lately. What the fuck?
Well, I mean, in fairness, she does porn on the side, so that's not a joke. I'm not even joking. I went on her Instagram. She has an OnlyFans account. I'm not joking.
Yeah, this is definitely not PG-13, folks. You want something different? Here's your alternative. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I don't think this is PG-13 anymore.
Anyway,
I didn't expect it either. I was like, oh, she seems chill. I went on to her. I was like, oh, she has an Instagram. I'll go on her Instagram. Oh, she's a porn star. That's how I found out.
Well, at least you're honest. I can respect that. But I'm not involved that much in social media. I'm going to stick to Twitter, where it's more safe. Anyway.
It's not safe anywhere, dude. Twitter is even worse.
Well, so far I haven't seen anything to that degree because it's more text-based than picture-based. But I'm sure there's people out there like that too. And I'm not judging, just not my type of style. I'm a wrestling fan, not... Anyway. Jesus.
Well, anyway, I mean, if somebody likes both, you have both.
I mean, there's people like that. Some people, what they call that, smut, they miss that stuff. They want that. Here's some of that back. Well, again, jack of all trades.
We got it with Van Dam and Katie Forbes.
Yeah, there you go, people. You're welcome. You can thank Scott D'Amore for that. Anyway, next match. I feel like we're going to talk less about this match than what we just talked about because, seriously, does anyone care about the Desi Hit Squad? Desi Hit Squad versus...
Well, I actually have some good things to say about the Desi Hit Squad. They're actually a surprisingly good team. Like, the gimmick's crap. I'll give you that. The gimmick's just goddamn awful. But they're actually a very formidable team as far as, like, they can do tag team moves. They're smooth in the ring. They're not green. They actually looked good here, especially against Willie Mack and
Rich Swann.
And Rich Swann. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, they were the better team, but Desi Hit Squad didn't look like they were out of place at all. So.
Yeah, they faced the team of Rahul Raju and Raj Singh with Gama Singh, who is old enough to be everybody's grandfather, versus the entertained team of Rich Swann and Willie Mack. These two have really gelled together as a team as well. Incredible tag team chemistry. How the fuck does Willie Mack do that standing moonsault out of nowhere and hits it perfectly is beyond me for a man.
I wish Impact and NXT did like a crossover for one night just so we could get him versus Keith Lee, please.
I'm sure you can find that somewhere in the Indies, James. And
yeah, that's true. PWG, probably.
BWD definitely. It's one of my first sources I go to on YouTube. But anyway, this was a fun back and forth match where the heels, the Desi Hit Squad, they had control of the early going, only for the entertaining, charismatic duo, bringing the party, Rich Swann and Billy Mack. They brought out all the spots. Desi Hit Squad, though, they did do a modify double team DDT on Rich, but Mack broke up the pin. I think if Mack wasn't there, they would have won there. Rich, of course, he hits handspring cutter. Always a fun move to see. While they do a double team top rope net breaker for the win. Nice tag team finish. And the party continued. Everybody was having fun. But following this, we go to the other side of that tag team destroyed. And my friend Paul, he literally knows the guy because he used to live in his hometown. Though they don't say he's from Monroe, they say he's from Detroit. Rhino. Rhino arrives to the arena, and he is freaking furious and is looking for RVD because he betrayed him. And he challenges him to a match at Turning Point, which will be available to watch exclusively on Impact Plus. So, hey, at least it's not going to cost you $50. But anyway, the match is pretty much going to be a grudge match. It was made official as we progress through the night. And then we find Moose trying to pull off the Mr. Perfect spot horribly. On a golf course.
This is awesome.
I'm going to prove to you why I'm the best multi-sport athlete of all time.
I don't know what it is, but there's something likable about Moose. He's being a shit-talking heel, acting like he's the shit, and he's terrible at everything. And I don't know why, but that makes him so great. He's great at wrestling. Don't get me wrong. He's a fantastic wrestler. He's
not bad coming off the NFL.
No kidding.
And after coming off the NFL through Mike Bennett and Maria as like their enforcer. And they had one match. You see how Moose developed along himself through other factions. Went back to with Austin Aries and Killer Cross. Everyone pays the toll. And now he's his own guy, and he's coming off a victory against Ken Shamrock from Bound for Glory. With help, of course, but no one's going to acknowledge that. And he feels like he's the best of all time because he buys the weirdest of wardrobe. What?
Oh, yeah. And this was no different. He's wearing... What the hell was he even wearing here?
I don't even remember. It was so weird. I'm like, oh, God.
It was... I know one of them was like a scally cap. Like, what former NFL star turned pro wrestler was a scally cap? Yeah, that's what it was. It was a scally cap and turtleneck.
I mean, he was on a golf course, so I'll give him that. That makes some sense. But anyway, he hits the ball.
Looked weird in it, and then he's just talking. I think the funny thing is, he is so monotone. You know what he reminds me of? Typically, nobody could get away with being so dull on the microphone, but he can. He is literally pro wrestling Shaquille O'Neal. That's what he is. He is pro wrestling Shaquille O'Neal. He's just dull, but the way he says shit is so dull that you laugh every time. Like this whole segment, I just could not stop laughing. Like, what are you doing?
He throws the guy into a sand trap, claims, "You took my ball. That's my ball. You touched my ball," and then he's like, "You touched my ball." Throws the guy in a sand trap.
I was half expecting him to say, "I'm gonna gate that ball. I'm gonna dunk it." I was expecting him to go full Shaq.
You know, you're just giving Impact Wrestling the idea to try and get friggin' Gold Bond as a sponsor.
I don't give a shit. Go for
it. Jesus. Anyway, and the other guy's like, "Hey, that was great. Got a hole-in-one," and that's it. See, that's what makes me.
Yeah, that was funny. He tossed the other guy that said it wasn't a hole-in-one, and then the other guy's, hole-in-one, and then he's like, that's right, man.
And then he's like,
he by the way, he took that from Trump. Trump actually did that, and people have been calling him out for that. So that was the whole, like, inside joke to that.
God. One of the worst things there. I'm not going in that world. Blah. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's where he got it from.
He'll be back in Impact next week. All right, James, now we just got the best out of you. Let's get the worst out of you. I'm just going to let you take this. Ken Shamrock's future plans. Ladies and gentlemen, he's different. He's expressive. He believes wrestling in a certain manner. James Hebert will now take you through the Ken Shamrock segment. For the Archangel James Hebert, I hope you all make an impact in life and have a good night.
Nice. I'll be honest with you. I was so aggravated the minute I saw this dude, to the point where I actually turned the stream off. The only thing I saw of this was where he said, "The world's most dangerous man versus the world's most dangerous manhood." That's all I gotta say. Everybody is like, there were people that tagged me in shit involving Shamrock and Ryan, and I don't know if it was the match or it from the tapings or if it was from the promo. I didn't give a shit. I just know they were in the ring. This is a disgrace to the business. I hate every bit of this. I understand that wrestling is subjective entertainment, and you can find what you want to find funny. Okay? But on a national TV scale, even if it's a cable network that isn't in as many homes as like a Fox or a TNT, when you put something like this on here, it's going to make people tune out. Nobody's going to fucking give two shits about Joey Ryan flipping people around with his dick. You're making wrestling, which is one of the hardest sports that anybody could ever do. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. You're making a mockery out of freaking doing, like, flips and shit and taking flat back bumps by having them sell your cock. Really? This is what we've downgraded to? Do you know how many, like, my dad ended up watching Impact, and he ended up calling me, like, "James, why do you watch this?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And then he told me that he watched the Joey Ryan shit, and I'm like, "Dude, I don't watch that. Some people enjoy that. I don't. And I don't get why people do. It's subjective. It's supposed to be entertaining." It's one thing if you play kick somebody in the shins, okay? It's one thing if the guy doesn't, if no sells it as he's play kicking him in the shins, and then he pushes him and then he hits a drop kick.
Yeah, I wonder who you could be referring to.
That is fine, in my opinion. There are great things. There are so many things that are fine in wrestling. It's come to the fact, like, I don't even mind the whole Kenny Omega versus the Blow Up Doll versus the 9-year-old girl, which I, by the way, am convinced is fucking Riho, but that's a whole other conspiracy theory. My point is, I can at least deal with that because, one, it was in a comedy promotion. It was not on national TV. And two, it happened once. This guy has been able to get away with being an absolute black hole of charisma. An absolute black hole of charisma with no wrestling ability whatsoever. Literally anybody can do the basic shit that this dude does. Okay? And this dude has gotten away with flipping people with his dick for fucking 5, 6, 7 years now. How have we gotten to this point? How? And everybody wants to throw beaver cleavage in my face. You know what? Beaver cleavage lasted only a week. How is this dude still in the wrestling business and being employed and being booked for shows like this for 7 fucking years? How? This dude sucks. Everything about him sucks. And the fact that he has to make a mockery of how hard this business is to learn the moves that you're supposed to learn. The fact that he insults the business like this with this fucking flip irks me beyond belief. This guy should be nowhere near Impact. It defeats the purpose of going to AXS in the first place. having this guy on here. And then you put Ken Shamrock up with this dude. This dude was probably the most credible wrestling / MMA career in the history of in the history of combat sports. And this is what you do with the guy. Are you kidding me? Fuck this.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Joey Ryan.
Ladies and gentlemen, James the Archangel Hebert. He's different. He's expressive. There you go. Have fun with that. All right. Anyway, yeah, to sum it up, Ken Shamrock, he comes out, talks about his future. He says he's not done. Out comes Joey Ryan, who interrupts him, claims that he can tap out Shamrock faster than the Gracie choke. And basically, the match was made. It is Shamrock versus Joey Ryan next week on Impact Wrestling.
Great, which I'm not watching, and I'm clicking off the minute it comes on the air.
As Joey Ryan tries to get Shamrock to touch the thing, sending Joey retreating up the ramp. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk more about wrestling. Ace Austin versus Eddie Edwards in a street fight.
Which, by the way, let me remind people. They were like, well, you have, because somebody actually said this to me.
What?
You have a problem with Joey Ryan, but you don't have a problem with Ace Austin. Here's the difference. Ace Austin doesn't flip people with his dick.
Not in the ring, but apparently he does it in movies.
This is a sleazy fucking gimmick that I can get behind. Yeah, I'm sure I'll boo him, but I'll boo him, and I'll actually watch to see him get his ass kicked and wrestle.
I mean, the whole thing
about this dude actually has a personality.
The whole thing about Ace Austin right now, he wants to sleep with Eddie Edwards' wife, who, I might add, won that pick your spot, gauntlet, whatever royal match they call, which means he gets a match for any Impact Wrestling Championship he wants. But this match was non-titled, as Ace Austin is the new X Division champion, beating out Tessa Blanchard, Jake Chris, AC Romero, and Daga, I almost forgot the other guy's name. And this match was everything I expected it to be, with pure vengeance, anger, vinegar, and you even had interference. I feel like Ace Austin is not running alone, it seems. But I thought this was a very good street fight, per se. Eddie Edwards, of course, deranged, insane, Tommy Dreamer 2.0, with Kenny, who came to play. There was a crazy spot where Ace Austin literally dives at Eddie, and he dives head first to a trash can. I believe people made a meme out of that, or captioned a picture of it. Anyway, there was a lot of distraction spots here, trash cans galore. Ace breaks Kenny, the candlestick, over his knee, and he loads his fist with a piece of steel towards the end and clobbers Eddie and hits what's called the fold off the top rope. Just fast forwarding, folks. Super fold through a table for the win. A lot of crazy spots here, and also he had that baton with him, that pop-up baton. That thing has to be lowered or something.
Yeah, which, by the way, I think he's a part of Reno Scum now, which kind of makes sense. So, there you go.
Well, Reno Scum came in play here trying to give Ace the win. If you remember right, Reno Scum cost Eddie Edwards to qualify for the X Division title match. I think it's safe to say that they're a union. And then, basically, yeah, he wins this match. But, hey, Eddie, hell of a fight, dude. All right. Anything you want to add about the street fight, Eddie Edwards or Ace Austin? Or Reno Scum?
This was great. They did a one spot that I loved in this particularly was how they used the trash can. The way they used the trash can was super innovative. I think it was like Ace Austin trying to come off with the springboard, and then Eddie Edwards just smashes the trash can, putting him in the trash can and denting it like head first on the top of his head. That was comedic gold and a great spot all in the same time. So that was awesome. I love how he just battered him with the chair also afterwards, because Eddie Edwards is apparently insane now, which I like. I don't know what it is about this gimmick, but I like it.
It works.
And, yeah, good shit.
All right. So moving on from there, we go back to a recap of the Knockouts division. Again, further storytelling. A few weeks back, Jessica Havoc, who made a return to Impact Wrestling, also has her own Twitch channel too, is a gamer, mad respect. She faced the Undead Bride, Su Yung, in an all-out street fight after the events that occurred at, I believe, Anniversary. So basically,
my God. Okay. So there is one thing I have to ask. I really hope they're listening. Please never do the staple of the vag spot ever again. I couldn't stop cringing. I was cringing the whole time after it happened. I didn't even want to see the match anymore. Ugh. It makes me cringe right now just thinking about it.
Okay,
It
so
was
why don't I
bad.
just fast forward because it's more about what the hell? This is weird, and I kind of like it. So apparently, Su Young died,
The gimmick change.
but she's brought back as a real bride, and she spooks the hell out of the Deaners, who's one of them's like, why is this creepier than before? And apparently, she is no longer Su Young, she is Susie, and she has no idea why she's here, but she feels like she should be here, and she walks off. And one of the Deaners is like, dude, she's hot now. So I saw this, and I went, what? Why
Yeah,
is this knockout dying
this was
or telling
very
the show down?
confusing.
It's like a morph of character. I literally got a tweet from Rosemary, because I'm a highly, I follow the shadow. I watch Master of the Multiverse every week. Fun channel. Go follow Allie's World YouTube channel, folks. Anyway, Rosemary leading, so I asked Rosemary this. Okay, Susie, hey, what does this mean? She tweeted me immediately. Nothing good. I'm like, oh, jeez. So apparently Rosemary's going to keep a close watch over this one that was a server to her father, if you remember the whole Undead Realm Allie storyline finale that wrote her off Impact Wrestling. Bravo. And we'll see what is to come more of this, but I gotta admit, this right now was the most interesting thing to me. I can't wait to see the follow-up to this. I want to know what she's going to be like in ring, and is she out like, what the fuck happened? And what's going to happen with her
I
and
don't
Rosemary?
even know.
This is interesting storytelling. You're leaving me with more questions than answers.
Does this mean her zombie character was actually alive and now she's actually a zombie?
I mean,
But
it
like
goes
she's
back. It goes back
intelligent?
to. Go ahead. Go ahead.
She died. Like
Undead. She was undead. So if you die while you're undead, does that mean you're just brought back normal, or do you leave a part of yourself undead, dead, and then
the whole thing, it was confusing from the word start. Other than the spot, which made me cringe, the whole thing with the garbage brawling that was going on, and then they were going to the back, and then Havoc chokes her. She hangs her by a noose and kills her.
Yep.
Am I watching Urban Wrestling Federation? Like, what the fuck's going on here?
I mean, with Father James Mitchell and Jimmy Jacobs as heads of creative that the Knockouts literally work with, who the fuck knows? All I know is,
No.
Susie, what is your purpose? Rosemary, figure it out. I want to see more of this.
I kind of do too. I'm morbidly curious. Just please no more staple spots towards the front.
Yeah. Anyway.
Just no more of that.
Then let's not talk about trash can. All right. So following this bit, Johnny Swinger hits on Alicia, who recently made a debut, by the way. Johnny Swinger. I was like, who's Johnny Swinger? Oh, good lord. Anyway, he tries to hit on Alicia, but then, why is everyone trying to hit on Eddie Edwards' wife? You realize he's insane, could kill you, right? Anyway, Ace Austin says, hey, I won the title. I said we're going to party. Where were you? You weren't at the party. Well, but basically, he's like, okay, how about this? Just dinner. Just a friendly dinner among friends. Because Alicia's like, it's complicated. I'm married to Edwards, blah, 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 blah. So apparently, we might get some sort of dinner scene coming or dinner aftermath. But I feel like Eddie Edwards and Ace Austin are not done with each other yet. And this whole trifecta going on between Austin, Edwards, and Alicia, I have no idea which way it's going.
I don't either. Like, it just screams. It just screams TNA. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The whole idea. And then especially when Don Callis utters the word 100 times, Triple X champion. Fuck me. Like, why?
I think that line enough sums up this whole storyline right here.
It's what it is. It's so dumb.
It's Impact Wrestling. It's different.
It's TNA.
Recreated, reborn, still alive, hard to kill. We'll talk more about that later. All right,
Hard
so
to
finally,
kill.
after your rant, a night of bizarreness, questions, and some decent in-ring action, and a wild gimmick match, we finally reached the main event. World Championship match, Brian Cage for Sami Callihan for the Impact World Championship inside a steel cage. And boy, did this match go off the script before it started. James, talk about it.
Sammy Callahan smashed the Cage door onto Brian Cage. Brian Cage then eventually got back at him and started grinding his face into the mesh, brought him back into the ring, and just started going off on the guy. He said he was going to tear him limb from limb. He's doing so until Sammy gets the bat and then gets the heat on Brian Cage for a while. And when I mean he gets the heat, I mean he bloodies him up again. And you just have this visual of Brian Cage helpless near the fencing of the cage and over the ropes, and he's just beating him down with the bat, and he's just beating him down just in general, making Brian Cage look like vulnerable, which is, again, if anybody could do it, it's Sammy. And Brian Cage eventually rolls out of the way, which of course frickin' Josh Matthews blew the spot completely, thinking he still hit him, but he didn't. Only grazed him. And then Brian Cage just starts going off, and this is where I know the ending spots more, but I can't even tell you half the things that Brian Cage did. He's a fucking machine. He's a fucking machine. Oh, by the way, there was another spot too, where Sami Callihan tried to lock him out of the cage. I almost forgot to point this out.
You literally forgot the beginning, before the match even started. The fact that he was
and then Brian Cage climbs over the cage like he's a cruiserweight. It's insane.
Like nothing. The dude is not human. He is a machine. Anyway, yeah, the two, they finally get into the freaking cage, and the two are just bashing each other up against the cell. At one point, Brian Cage stuck up against the ropes, against the mesh of the cell, and he literally calls for Sami Callihan to come at him more and more as Sami Callihan just kept clotheslining him to the cage. I think at one point they even shared spit. Ugh. Anyway.
Yeah, that was gross.
That's Sammy's thing, okay? OBE, the draw, the death machine. By the way, subtleties, if you notice his vest, somewhere on it, it said Melissa. Hey.
Yeah, I know.
That didn't piss off Cage any more than he already was. Anyway, these two beating the shit out of each other. No pun intended. Anyway, let's see here. There was like catfish, pile driver central here. Not one, not two, but three pile drivers. And Brian still kicks out at two. And then Brian hits a freaking Alabama slammer, followed by some discus clotheslines, because that's one of Brian Cage's specialties, okay? There was a lot of good near falls in this match, but towards the end, Sam driver, but this time off the top rope to win the match, and he finally, 2 years and 2 days, becomes the freaking Impact World Champion.
He hit this pile driver, and Brian Cage sold it like he was dead, especially from the top rope. It was great.
Like Virtue says, Brian Cage is a star, okay? The dude sold everything here, and he was a great champion. And I know these two are not done each other by a long shot. But we did get some subtleties of what might come, because there is another ghost from Sammy's past that sure as hell isn't done with him. Because as Impact was going off the air, who comes out and confronts him face to face, while he has spit on his face and a bat in hand, with no fear whatsoever, ready to kick his ass? The pro wrestler. And I drop a word for a reason. Tessa Blanchard. If they do not do Tessa Blanchard versus Sami Callihan within the next year for the Impact World Championship, then Tessa Blanchard is wasting her talent as she tries to create her destiny and her own legacy through what she wants to do. Again, she's not afraid to mix it up with the guys. She enjoys doing that, per se. And she wants to define herself. She doesn't want to be just fought off, her name, but she got a name to hold. But she doesn't want, like anybody doing it for her, per se. Now, all I can say is this. Their next pay-per-view is literally called Hard to Kill. Some people wrote Impact Wrestling off for dead. Some of these people you think should be dead. if one of the matches that Harper killed does not involve Tessa Blanchard versus Sami Callihan in some facet, you literally lost the purpose of the name, okay? Because we already are getting the rematch for the Impact World Championship between Brian Cage and Sami Callihan at Turning Point. Do you really think there's going to be a title change, though? I'm just saying.
No, it's Sami Callihan is going to be the champion, and then he's going to drop it to Tessa, as it should be.
Well, we'll see when that
built this
happens.
story up really, really well here.
What an ending and what a face. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I honestly thought at some point they were going to set up Brian Cage versus Tessa Blanchard like they did at Wrestling Circus. Go watch that match. Incredible match.
See, Mace, they did it on TV, and you said it didn't matter. It definitely mattered on the debut episode.
Well, again, it was the debut. Now, we'll see how this goes going forward, because I wasn't sure what was next for Tessa Blanchard, because since she lost the X Division title, damn it, because I thought she was going to use that and carry that and then go for option C. I don't know how they're going to build this, but obviously they're not going to just thrust her into it. But, Sammy, you better damn well be aware Tessa Blanchard's coming for your ass and for that title. Now, before we close, I do want to talk one more thing, and I feel like this makes sense. Let's talk about Impact's impact. What I want you to do, James, is I want you to look back on this episode and give me, in your personal opinion, who left the biggest impact of the night.
The biggest impact of the night. I guess it would have to be Callihan just because of his win, finally winning the belt. I would say also, like, it's probably a tie between him and Su Yun just because this character's wild. So they're probably tied for, like, impact player.
Okay.
The least impact? Are we doing those two?
Nah, because we're talking about, it's Impact Wrestling. We want to talk about what makes an impact. And it's not necessarily what's in the ring, but necessarily what the product gives us. I think you basically pointed out the top two. I mean, when I look at impact, when I think about what makes an impact in Impact Wrestling, it's not so much about who gives you the strongest performance in the ring, but who gives you something to really take away going into next week. Because I already hyped up next week's card, which we'll talk about briefly. But in my opinion, I gotta agree, because again, I thought Sami Callihan was going to win the damn title of Bound for Glory, and then I thought it was just going to be like, okay, you're riding it off. But no, and then the fact that they let him do this to Brian Cage, the two of them did this to each other, and he ate all those damn pile drivers. Mad respect to Brian Cage, but the fact that Sami Callihan, a guy you would never think a company would put as their top guy with their top title, now Impact World Champion, giving subtleties on Twitter going all the way back to when he was signed with the other company where he and Ciampa had a jockey for words. And, of course, he just tells everybody, fuck off. It's got to be Sami Callihan for me, too, now that he is not only hashtag the draw, hashtag the champ. Simple as that. All right. So before we talk about next week's card, I want to talk a few things right quick. So first off, Tessa Blanchard. We're talking about her. She's not just one of the best female pro wrestlers in the world. She's probably one of the best pro wrestlers in the world. She owns Impact Wrestling with everything she does, and she's even bringing up-and-coming female wrestlers and women of wrestling as their leading champion. She is the champion of WOW, folks, which is also on AXS TV. Ironic? Convenient? I don't think so. So people are talking about, where should Tessa Blanchard go? Blah, blah, blah. She's staying with Impact at least till next year's summer. So, James, I just want to get your quick thoughts on this. Tessa Blanchard's future, where do you see it heading?
All Elite Wrestling.
Really?
Simple as that. Yeah, she's going to AEW. She's going to be the forefront of the women's division over there. Plus, it makes a lot of sense to go over there because her father's there, and she could have a great manager in her dad. So I would say, like, because I'll tell you right now, she goes to WWE, she'll have a great run in NXT, but the minute she's called up to Raw or SmackDown, she'll be dead in the water. And I would think she would know that, because Tessa Blanchard ain't no Charlotte Flair in their eyes.
But yeah, people want to see Charlotte Flair versus Tessa Blanchard. And then you bring up the point about AEW with her father being there managing Shawn Spears. Tessa Blanchard doesn't need a manager per se. She manages herself. But
no, I agree. I'm just saying.
Tessa Blanchard going somewhere else. Look, if she's not made further points in Impact Wrestling, or she feels like she's done everything in Impact Wrestling, because again, it's all up to her, okay? If she feels like she's not being Impact Wrestling, I agree. I feel like All Elite Wrestling will give her a more conventional, creative avenue. She can still do some stuff in the Indies because AEW is more flexible, but I guess only time will tell. But anyway, following that, we know that we're getting Callahan versus Cage at Turning Point. We know we're getting Ronald versus RVD at Turning Point in what they're calling a grudge match. And as far as next week's card goes, we're getting Moose versus Willie Mack one-on-one. Shamrock versus Ryan, gotta say it. And also Ba versus Michael Elgin. And hopefully we'll get more also on the Susie, because again, Su Yung is dead, period. Susie angle too. With that being said, let's close with one more thought. Look, I understand people are wondering why she did it, what's her future going to be. She's already had 2 appearances, it seems, at least under the banner. James, do you see Kylie Ray signing with Impact Wrestling?
Man. Well, I guess just because of her mental health, yeah. Yeah. She correct me if I'm wrong, but there was somebody that did say that there was a guy who kind of gave a bit of light to a situation because I don't think people even thought of this on why she left All Elite Wrestling and wrestling in general in the first place.
Right.
Guy from JD, guy named JD from he's
JD,
known as
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah, JD from NY206. He put it out a really good point about Kylie Ray. And this was during the abysmal reporting by I don't remember who saying Jericho tried to make moves on her, which was bullshit and has already been proven to be bullshit.
Yeah.
She was going through a lot, and obviously she went through so much to the point where she just asked to be released. I think what ended up happening was she ended up she just wasn't ready for the pressure because everybody was comparing her to Bayley. I mean, Nikos over in the Wrestling Rundown in the Indie Force, he called her, like, as a joke, 52-year-old Bayley. You know?
Yeah, I wasn't laughing at that because I don't try and compare people to others. When you look at wrestlers in wrestling, you try and find each one as unique in themselves. Kylie Ray, I've seen her work in Beyond Wrestling when she faced on Cassidy. I saw her set up Pro Wrestling Champion. She faced Tessa Blanchard and Britt Baker. She worked a bit in Rise, and she's just happy to be here, and she loves wrestling. What's not to respect?
Yeah, well, the thing is, too, I think she was getting so much comparisons to the point where it probably got to her, and she just decided, you know what, I'm just going to step away for a bit. And she found her home in Impact Wrestling. Yeah, I think she's going to be signing with Impact. Makes a lot of sense right now.
Well,
at the very least, until she gets her footing. And for the record, when you do go back to AEW, which I think is going to be inevitable at some point, due to the fact I think something's going to happen. Like, because right now you got what, NXT, Impact, AEW. One's got to give. I think it's going to be Impact, and AEW is probably going to, like, acquire the assets. When you do eventually go back to AEW, don't let it get to you. Just don't. You know, it's nothing terrible anyway. Bayley's a good wrestler. You're a good wrestler. You smile a lot. What's the bad about it?
Allie smiles a lot, and she's in All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get it. Everyone was like, I love how they compare, like, Kylie Ray to Bayley, even though she looks nothing like Bayley. And then you have fucking, I don't know, like, just that whole
There's
deal.
probably a ton of female wrestlers like that to a degree that smile and people are like, oh, she's essentially this, okay? Look beyond the freaking surface, people. She's actually a really good wrestler, and for all you know, probably a nice person, because, yeah, she went off the grid for a while, deleted her Twitter, probably still off Twitter because all that pressure got to her, and all that can do is just cause mental anxiety. Why do you think Lars Sullivan was kept off TV, for example? Anxiety attacks kill people, or cause them to kill themselves. Bottom line is this, Kylie Ray, all the best in whatever you choose, but if I were to say what I think she might do, I think she might do Impact Wrestling. And as
She's
far
probably
as
staying in Impact,
company
for sure.
claiming Impact Wrestling, dude, rumor has it, let's close with this topic. So you talk about Impact Wrestling, it's there, but it's like still a little blip. And then you look at these other companies like All Elite Wrestling. Yeah, as a whole. There's another company we really don't think about, and honestly, I feel like it's straight from both they come together. They tried it once, but Sinclair Productions were like, no, it didn't fall through. So my final question for you tonight is this. Do you want to see Impact Wrestling merge with Ring of Honor?
That's the easy question, yeah. Yeah, 100%. And here's the reason why, because I wouldn't completely get rid of the ROH name. What you could do once you acquire Ring of Honor is Ring of Honor can finally have its own show title, and Impact can finally have a 3-letter company that isn't associated with TNA or TNA's past. ROH Impact Wrestling, anybody?
Well, of course, wrestling. You remember GFW was there for
Yeah, we don't talk about that, and we know how well. I'm saying this is a proper merger where it's Ring of Honor Impact Wrestling. And a whole new presentation. I mean, it would look really, really good. I think if Impact, because everybody's like, how are you going to be able to have those days? Like everybody used to chant TNA back when they were good back in the day, right? Everybody was chanting GFW for the short time it was there. Everybody likes that 3-syllable chant. You can't have a 3-syllable chant with Impact.
That's why you get This Is Impact in a good match at times.
Yeah, but it's not often. So, Ring of Honor. People chant ROH at Ring of Honor shows. You add ROH to the Impact name, people will chant ROH. Impact looks good. Ring of Honor looks good. 2 brands merge into one. And you have a lot more talent at your disposal. I, for one, would love to see Roosh. I would love to see a Roosh versus Brian Cage match.
Oh, jeez.
I would love to see that. I would love to see the Briscoes absolutely tear it up. And I mean it. I would love to see him. I would love to see OVE versus the Briscoes all day long.
Oh, God.
All day long, and especially in hardcore matches. That'd be awesome to see. You'd have also
versus Taya Valkyrie could be a good match too. She's the powerhouse Women of Honor champion. And the funny thing is, Women of Honor matches and clips on YouTube versus a lot of clips from the other company, tons more views than the other one, ironically. Now, maybe it's because it was just new and it's still very new per se, but only time will tell. But again, we also got to see what else Impact Wrestling brings as they continue working with their partners, which I'm sure is going to be more Japanese promotions and further indie promotions to come. As Scott D'Amore just recently signed, AC Romero has now signed Impact Wrestling. I'm very curious to see what they do with this guy because he's a unique cat, per se. And that's not a plug against Jon Moxley. But
I like AC Romero. Everybody over in the Indie Force calls him Big Chungus, me included. All hail Big Chungus.
And now you'll see him soon enough in Impact Wrestling.
Yay.
All right.
I wish I could have seen him more on AEW, but now that I know there is a home for Big Chungus, I will be watching me some more Big Chungus.
All right. Well, I think we talked enough about Impact Wrestling. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the first ever Impact's recap. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and the review. Let us know what you thought about the show and what you want going forward. And if you have any questions for us regarding Impact Wrestling, let us know. Be happy to answer them. Be happy to communicate with you. With that being said, let's just go ahead and plug ourselves real quick. James, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, you guys can find me on youtube.com/user/jhebertside95. That's my main channel. That's youtube.com/user/jhebertside95. That's also my Twitter handle @jhebertside95. You could tweet me, you can comment on my videos, do whatever you want. I'm more active on the Wrestling Fortune 44, which is youtube.com/user/wrestling FORTUNE44. That's where you will see Noah, myself, and Owen on the Wrestling Rundown. Owen runs the show. I edit the show. Definitely check that out. Give that a watch. We just had our 2 episodes released on that channel. Episode 176 and 177 are up right now, albeit late. Fuck WMG. That's beside the point. But yeah, definitely give those episodes a watch. Really worked hard on those. And you could also check out another thing I work hard on, which is a CAW Wrestling League that I promote. I don't know if this will be going on No DQ. We'll see what happens. But that's kind of the inspiration of the
Great.
show, and it's called Weymouth Youth Wrestling. You can check that out on youtube.com/user/WYW Pride. Immortal is up there right now. Give it a watch. Let me know what you think. There you go. That's it.
Yeah, simple as that. And folks, you want to know more about me, know this. I'm just a simple man. And if you haven't figured out by now, I am a lifelong fan of wrestling. So if you want to follow me and talk anything wrestling, any of the 5 brands of WWE, or Impact Wrestling, or Ring of Honor, or New Japan Pro Wrestling, or All Elite Wrestling, or Independent Wrestling, support Independent Wrestling, folks. Look me up on Twitter, nodq.com/notification my Twitter page, or follow my simple YouTube channel here at youtube.com/user/NoahFoster210. Support my hashtag 2 for that matters Facebook group. Support my channel here where I talk all things wrestling reviews, recaps, predictions. Soon there'll be predictions for New Japan Pro Wrestling Power Struggle, All Elite Wrestling Full Gear, Ring of Honor Final Battle, and further stuff to come in collaboration with NoDQ. And at the heart of my channel, hashtag 205 Life Matters. Support NoDQ. The reason I'm in YouTube, forever indebted to the NoDQ family. Buy a shirt, buy a cup, buy a tapestry. NoDQ.com/merch. There's something there for everybody. Follow me on our social media platforms. Your opinions matter. Comment section and everything. Polls, cons, mean, gifts, reviews, sexy female pics, probably Brassers approved. It's there. It's wrestling, primarily WWE with some independent wrestling content as well. An attempt to troll the Troll Slayer virtue. He dares you. And as always, I like to close. Support your wrestling outlets for big and small, and let's keep growing this unique, diverse, one-of-a-kind wrestling community together. Simple as that. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of the Impact Recap. Let us know what you thought again in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, comment, tell friends, subscribe to my channel, his channel, subscribe to what you like. Just let us know what you think, but, be subjective, but also be respectful. And until the next video, for me, the simple man, and for the Archangel James Hebert, I hope you all make an impact in life and have a good night.
Nice.